are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cowboys. Locked On Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Landon McCool. Follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. Also can listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. Landon, what's going on, sir?
Good morning. It's a Thursday. We're ready to it's a little bit late in the week, but we're still working through it. Getting through the All-22 and in preparation of trying to put it all behind us, and then tomorrow start fresh with the New England Patriots. But for now, I'm still taking a look back to see what happened in that glorious victory over the New York Giants.
Yeah, some of the things that we're going to talk about on our All-22 review are things we're seeing kind of over the first month and a half of the season. So it kind of ties into like a season-long review. But
yeah, exactly.
If you want to hear some Patriots Cowboys talk, did a crossover yesterday. It's on wherever you get your podcast. It's on YouTube. Talked to Mike Debate of Locked On Patriots. So go check that out. All right, Landon, let's get to our All-22 notes. And I know you have a lot, but there's just one player that I really want to mention in this game that I thought had, I think, the best game of his career, and that's Randy Gregory. Gregory was dominant in this game. And I know, did he even have a sack in this game? I don't even think he did, right?
I don't think he did, no.
And it was still the best game of his career. I mean, it just feels like now Randy Gregory has finally put everything together because he's no longer just the guy that's really bendy around the edge, right? And just is going to win that way. He's winning by knocking Nate Solder back to the quarterback. He's winning on stunts. There was a play that I actually just posted on Twitter. He's lined up, standing over a guard, and just runs right by him and forces Daniel Jones out of the pocket. It was just a complete game, and I don't think we've ever seen that from Randy Gregory. I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's the one who caused the pressure on that pick six that Anthony Brown had. Mm-hmm. They're just lining him up all over the place. I mean, I think we saw a nickel package that include. I mean, they've been deploying this a lot, and I love it. It's Odigizua at defensive end. It's 93 and 94 at defensive tackle, and then Chandler Golson Chauncey Golson at defensive end. It's just kind of with 11 and 27 both kind of mugging. Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting nickel package. And they just. I think the key thing is that they've been able to move Randy around a lot. They're not keeping him static and just trying to, they're trying to find ways to get him in matchups that they like or to get him free, whether that's, like I said, lining him up in unusual spots, using games and stunts to try to get him loose, get him free. And because he's such a great mover, such a great athlete and so long that if he can get free in the backfield, he's going to wreak havoc because you can't really escape, So, yep. I think Randy's a guy that, if I remember correctly, had something like 9 pressures in this game or something totally ridiculous. I'm a big believer in the shout out to Josh Norris. I'm a big believer in disruption is production. Yep. And I think that, it may not be the same as glorified as sacks, but I mean, I think, again, Randy Gregory causing disruption, causing Daniel Jones to throw an early pass, incompletion, that's production. Gregory getting loose and causing a pressure that makes them Jones throw the ball early and suddenly it's a pick six for Anthony Brown, that's production. So, yes, I think that there's a lot to be excited about in the trajectory of the way Randy Gregory's playing right now.
All right, let's get to some of your notes, Landon. What were some of the biggest things you saw after you went over the tape?
Well, I think, just kind of from a 10,000-foot view, I mean, it was a run game clinic tape, essentially. Yep. I mean, that's the thing that kind of was the main takeaway is that the Giants, through 4 quarters, never figured out how to stop the Cowboys' G power game.
Why they couldn't? They don't have the dudes to do it, and that's
they don't have the dudes to do it. They don't have the linebackers to get outside that can get in the tunnel that can stop the run. They don't have anybody in the edge that's going to stop the tight ends and guards from down blocking and getting around on the end to block them. And the best players on their defense, especially in their front seven, were their defensive tackles who were just consistently being down blocked by Terrence Steele and just, and Tyron Smith and guys just crushing them. And they're using the G power pin and pull stuff. They were trying to get outside to the edge in the run game because, like you said, the Giants never stopped them. And there wasn't really a reason to kind of stop doing it. I think there was even a moment when, if you go back and listen to the sideline tape, they do the sideline audio where Zach Martin is talking to Dak, and he's like, "Man, we ran like G power like 5 times in a row or something like." And I didn't see that, but it was like, I mean, he wasn't exaggerating that much. They were running it so much. So, my main takeaway is that the Giants, I would say, played a little bit. They played less 2-man or shell coverage than we've seen in some weeks. They played a lot more kind of cover 3 and middle field closed kind of coverages, but it didn't really matter. They couldn't stop it, and they tried blitzing a little bit, but that didn't seem to work either. So basically the Cowboys, I think, knew that even with all the efforts that the Giants were putting into stopping the run, that they weren't able to do it. And then when they really overcommitted to the run, that's when you started seeing Dak hitting them up down the field with some of these passes for the touchdowns.
Just a couple things from the Giants' perspective. So they have 2 linebackers right now, Tay Crowder and Reggie Ragland, who are both guys like you would say are good run defenders, but just lack athleticism. The problem is when you have speed at running back and you can block to the outside, those guys just don't have enough, horizontal speed to get down and make those plays, right? So that's why Tony Pollard and Zeke were just gashing them, near the sidelines. Like the touchdown, the second touchdown that Ezekiel Elliott scored, the one where he just beat the guys to the corner, that should never, ever happen on that play. They're just not athletic enough. It was really fun to watch if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know his name, but do you know who number 48 is for the Giants, the linebacker?
Is that Lorenzo
I don't
Carter?
know. It's Mr. Toast is what his name is now, because he was put in so much conflict. And no, it wasn't Lorenzo Carter, because
it was Tay Crowder. Tay Crowder.
Yeah, okay, that's the guy. Yeah, he really had a rough game. Yeah. Like he was just being torn all over the spot. I mean, and that's the thing about the Cowboys in general in this game is that it's such a diverse play script. It's crazy. They could run outside zone. They could run inside zone. They could run pin and pull. They could run split zone. They'll run RPOs with a bubble screen on the backside so that you can't write. They'll put you in conflict with the RPOs. Then they'll run fake zone reads and they'll pull it out and just it's a play action pass suddenly. So I mean the Cowboys are really reaping the benefits of years and years and years of building this, now very diverse run game and having a crew of guys who have been in the system for long enough now that they just have this diverse category of run plays that they can deploy and exploit, any type of run defense. And on top of that, because of the way that power and zone mixes together, right? The way that they kind of create a conflict for the linebackers if you can't really play them the same way. So it takes, quick processing to see what's happening to you and be able to counteract it. And these New York Giants linebackers just weren't up to the task there.
If you get a chance to go back and watch the tape, Landon, number 52 for the Giants, it's actually a guy by the name of Carter Coughlin, who is I believe the grandson of Tom Coughlin.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it looked like his grandson was out there playing. It was not great. So just get a chance to watch some of those snaps when he's out there. It's pretty hilarious. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk more about some of our notes. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about rockauto.com. It's a family business serving auto parts to customers online for over 20 years. They have everything from engine control modules, brake parts, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or your daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose a brand, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com today. All right, let's stay with the defense because I have some more notes on defense. Oso Digizua, good. I don't want to talk about him. We talk about him every single week. He's really good.
Come on,
Leighton
what
Van
do I
Der Esch.
talk about?
I thought he played one of the better games that I've seen him over the last couple of years. Like basically from 2019 to 2021. I think this might have been his best game. A couple, impact plays, but just wasn't an issue on defense, right? He was pretty solid. And that's kind of all they need from him is just be the reliable other linebacker to Micah Parsons and Keanu Neal. That was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's found himself in a nice role. I think with Jalen gone, he maybe can even see an increase in a couple of snaps to the snap count, right? But I think it's still at an appropriate level. I thought he's still capable of making plays. He still has the processing ability and the athleticism to do that. And it showed. He whether it was knifing through a hole to get the tackle for the loss after seeing the trigger, or just I think Joey just actually posted a video of him sorting through trash near the goal in goal line defense and just kind of making sure that he had a solid read on his player and was able to get outside and make the play. So I thought that Leighton Van Der Esch continues to have a very solid season so far.
Last thing in the linebackers, Jabril Cox only played 4 snaps in this game, but they were a meaningful 4 snaps. His speed is so evident when you watch it. Like, I believe in that Daniel Jones play. It's him and Keanu Neal chasing Daniel Jones to the pylon. And we know Keanu Neal is fast. Cox is faster. Like, Jabril Cox is just a faster player at this stage in their career. I do wonder, as we go into the season, as we get into November and December, like, are they just going to have a hard time keeping him off the field because he's so much more athletic than everybody else outside of Micah Parsons?
Well, it's interesting because, where he struggled from what we've seen in training camp and just, his college career is kind of is more in the run game part, right? Yep. I think, for the most part, it was interesting that they put him, that his package that he's seemingly working in early is goal line, right? Yeah. But I think it makes sense if you talk about where he was. He lined up basically as the outside guy, in a condensed formation. So, which is
a lot of times what a safety is doing, right?
Yeah, or like in normal situations, a corner would be that guy if they kind of condense down. So Daniel Jones was thinking, maybe I can outrun a safety and get truck him a little bit because Jones is still a bigger guy, and they only had 2 yards to go, I think. So really, he just had to get back to the line of scrimmage and then fall down forward. He could have scored. So, but he didn't get there, and Cox got out there quick. I think, what the next step will be is you'll see him more in nickel packages. I would not at all be surprised if you start to see him being deployed more against specifically tight ends and running backs in that sort of way. And then, I definitely see, a situation that if he keeps performing as he's getting snaps, that he is just hard to keep off the field, and that he starts eating into guys like Neal's snaps, or he's the guy that you're seeing rotating in a little bit more when you do something like drop Parsons down to rush the passer a little bit more. So, I think if he keeps getting snaps and keeps doing this kind of thing with his snaps, more opportunities will come. And clearly this defense and this team really has no qualms with playing young players or playing a whole bunch of different players.
Last thing I want to say about Micah Parsons, because I want to mention him really quickly. If you look at the stat sheet, like, I don't know if this was his most impressive game. I don't even think he graded all that well in Pro Football Focus, but I thought he was really disruptive. Like, there was a play on the goal line where he kind of knifed into the backfield and stopped the ball carrier, missed the tackle. So technically, like, PFF would call that like a negative play because he missed the tackle, which he did. But he made the play.
When he got spun, when the ball carrier got spun around and then he couldn't kind of gain his momentum.
So he didn't technically make the, and I posted this on Twitter, but he didn't make the tackle, but he made the play because he was able to slow down the running back. It allowed other players to beat their block and make the tackle for a loss. You saw that a lot in this game, whether it was on stunts. Like, he's really good on stunts as like the guy that's holding the tackle or knocking down the tackle and letting Gregory come in behind him.
As the spiker, right? As the guy that's going in and causing the disruption to free up somebody that's looping up behind him.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. There was a lot of things like that. Just don't go on the stat sheet, but you could tell he had a big impact in the game. So if you're worried that Parsons is hitting a rookie wall or something like that, don't, because I thought he was really good this game.
No, they used him a lot, and they availed themselves a lot of him. And frankly, a big portion of why you didn't necessarily even have to worry about the run game is because you had so much speed at linebacker that they weren't necessarily going to try to break everything outside on you because they weren't going to get outside on you. So, and I think you saw it is they're utilizing Parsons in a way that they're using his skill set to not only create plays for himself, but to create plays for other people, right? Yes. As because teams are so concerned about this kid and what he's done. So that's the true sign that he's arrived, if anything, right? Yeah. Is that all the attention that he's being put that is being put on him by offenses is creating opportunities for other people on the defense.
All right. Any other notes on defense you wanted to share before we move on?
No,
how about your guy Anthony Brown?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's I posted that. Look, I do want to clear something up there. I posted that thing about it, and I think it's impressive. I'm not a huge believer in PFF grades, especially with coverage grades, because they admittedly only grade plays in which the cornerback was targeted, right? So they don't account for times when a quarterback looked over to his receiver and then saw he was covered, which would be a very positive graded play, I would assume, for a cornerback. They don't even grade that. But having said all that, Anthony Brown has played 241 snaps. That's 10 more snaps than the second highest cornerback in 241 snaps in coverage, right? Yeah. So coverage snaps, meaning 241 snaps in which he was dropping into coverage as opposed to playing run defense. That's 10 more than the next highest person in the NFL. And he has the 7th highest graded coverage grade in the PFF database for cornerbacks. So again, not a huge believer in those grades, but look at it this way. If they're only grading the targets, right? And he still has the 7th highest grade off of 240 plus snaps, which is, again, 10 more than the next guy. I mean, we can talk about the particulars of it, but that to me reads like a very consistent cornerback, a guy who's been able to play good football. And I think, my eyes are telling me that too, which is, that's how we confirm it. We go in and see what the context is in the film. And, Anthony Brown, look, he fell down. There was an awkward angle of the ball for the Kadarius Toney long deep pass, right? But outside of that, he was contesting footballs. He was reading things well. Obviously he had the pick 6, so which put him in position. I think for the most part, Anthony Brown has played way better than we all anticipated. We talked about it in training camp that it looked like the coverage was better, but we said it with hoped breath and just kind of we're too afraid to speak it into existence. But I think that generally speaking, not just with Trayvon Diggs, that the coverage on this team has been better than it has been in previous years, and Anthony Brown is I think a big part of that.
So you're just never going to have 2 shutdown corners on a team. It just never works that way. In the history of NFL, can you ever think of a time where there was 2 shutdown corners on the same team and they both played to that level? It just doesn't happen. Like, one guy is going to get picked on, and because Diggs is playing so well, it's in Anthony Brown. And I think Anthony Brown's held up really well. So I don't know if you knew this, Landon, but Anthony Brown actually has the highest depth of targets in the NFL right now. His average target is 12.2 air yards. So when teams are throwing at him, they're throwing down the field. And every time you get beat, it looks like it's a big play, because generally it is. It's just not happening all that often. Like, teams are completing career low 60% of the passes targeted at him. His passer rating, when opposing quarterbacks target him, 85, which is like well below the league average, and it's actually the second best of his career. He's playing well. He's not playing like a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he's playing what you would expect a number 2 cornerback to play like. I think he's been just fine.
Which is look, again, let's go back to our own expectations, right? And I mean that as a community, right? What was our expectation for Anthony Brown? That hopefully he would be beat out by Kelvin Joseph and not
hopefully he wouldn't suck, right? That's the thing.
Yes. No. Let's not hopefully he wouldn't suck. We were certain he was going to suck, and our only hope was that he would get taken off the field by Kelvin Joseph. Fair. That didn't happen, and instead Anthony Brown has played good football through 5 games.
Well, also,
it may not last,
it's allowed you to be patient with Calvin Joseph.
Exactly.
Right? Because I think if, let's say, Anthony Brown continues to play as poorly as he did in week 1 against Antonio Brown, which is a really difficult matchup, you probably would have seen Calvin Joseph in week 4 or week 5, right? Like the Cowboys probably would have rushed him out there. But because he's played admirably, he's played well, competently, whatever words you want to use, the Cowboys can be patient now. And like Calvin Joseph is practicing, but I don't think he's going to play this week, which gives him another week because you have a week 7 bye, which is good for the rookies. Like it's good for Nahshon Wright and Calvin Joseph not to just get thrown right out there as a rookie. I think we got to give him credit. I think he's playing really well.
I got to say this too. I don't know if you noticed, but during the Zeke interview that he gave on the sideline of the practice field, I think yesterday, the day before, behind them, they were doing special teams drills, and Kelvin Joseph was participating in those special team drills. So he's there, like he's, you know what I'm saying? Like I would say that if he couldn't play this week, that he would definitely have been able to play next week if there was a game, right? Yep. So I think for me, what he's probably past the injury to a certain degree or near the end. And right now they're beginning to do the ramp up process of, okay, you're going to be an active player on this team. Like he was, kind of first week, but they'll actually get him in there and potentially have him playing some snaps. I would assume on special teams to start. And then eventually, I'm sure he'll find a way to work into the roster, because here's the other thing about it, guys, is that if Anthony Brown is playing good football, that doesn't mean that you can't play Kelvin Joseph. If anything, it means you can move Joseph out to a spot that he's comfortable, whether that's the outside or inside, and then you can kick Anthony Brown.
Brown's very good in the slot. You can use him there
exactly.
As well.
So there's lots of flexibility there,
and we've seen them rotate. Like Maurice Kennedy got a lot of snaps last week. We saw Jordan Lewis play a lot, so you can figure out ways to get both those guys on the field. It's not an issue really at all. All right, one more quick break to tell you guys about BetOnline. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, just a couple things about the offense. I don't know if you saw this, Landon, but do you know who the number one highest graded tight end is in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus?
You don't know if I saw this?
Yes.
I think I got it tattooed on my back, if I'm not mistaken, that Dalton Schultz is the Zach Martin of tight ends, according to PFF.
Just letting you know, that's true. Dalton Schultz is number one. You're going to want to make sure you can get a good tattoo remover when Sean McEwen takes a spot here in a couple of weeks. But
there's room on the back for both.
There's room, you can add more.
It's like I tweeted the other day. You know what our 3 tight end sets need? Sean McEwen, a 4th tight end. That's what we need.
I love Sean.
Sean
McEwen is the next Dalton Schultz, by the way. I'm just telling you.
We do need to talk about this, though, because listen, a huge portion of that run game, and I think a huge portion of the difference between this year and previous years is that Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin are both blocking very well.
Schultz more so than Jarwin.
Schultz more so, obviously. But Schultz, I mean, look, I've always said that Schultz was the better blocker. I mean, since he was a rookie. Yes. So Schultz is right now playing like one of the most complete tight ends in football. I mean, can we go back to that 3rd and 6 where Dak scrambles out of the pocket and hits Schultz on the run? Mm-hmm. Give Dak all the credit in the world, because obviously that was incredible awareness, great job throwing on the run. But if you go back and watch what Dalton Schultz did on that play, Schultz beat Logan Ryan on like some. I was trying to figure out what they call this route, but it's like a reverse whip, right? Like so, whip is like inside and then out, right? He went outside and then turned around in and just left Logan Ryan in the dust. Was like 4 yards open, but because of the pressure that forced Dak out of the pocket, Dak couldn't deliver the ball. So what does he do? He speed turns to go back the other way and then burns Logan Ryan back the other direction. So he burned Logan Ryan twice on one play and then got the big catch. And, on top of that, we could go through a laundry list of incredible blocks that he was putting on Lorenzo Carter, guys that are bigger than him, defensive end types. Dalton Schultz has taken his game to an even higher level than it was previous. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm on the phone with Schultz's agent like right now, and say, hey, I know Dalton loves it here. We love Dalton. He's friends with Jarwin. What do we got to do to kind of sign a nice cheap deal to keep you here for a couple more years?
I agree. I mean, we could talk about Dalton Schultz as a blocker, which is way better. I actually want to talk about something he does as a receiver that he does really well. I was watching some rookie tight end tape. I was watching our guy, Kyle Pitts and Pat Freiermuth from this week, actually. And one thing that you notice from those guys compared to Schultz is they just get off the line so slow. In the case of Freiermuth, when the ball is snapped, he basically stands straight up and then he runs down the field. Schultz explodes off the line of scrimmage, and that's why he's always so open on those little sit routes that are like 7 yards down the field, is because he just gets there faster than most tight ends, despite not being an elite athlete. So he's just really good at getting to a spot, flipping his hips, and being ready to catch the ball. That sounds so simple and elementary, but not a lot of tight ends can really do that to perfection, and I think he's done it really, really well. So I just wanted to mention that.
Where do you think he learned that from?
You
have to say it. No,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
listen.
Probably Martellus Bennett taught him everything.
You can say what you want about Jason Witten, but to the day he retired,
that's true.
I never saw anybody get off the line like Jason Witten. He got off, even with his slow feet, with his inability to move.
Very true. It's true.
He got off the line. Go back and watch. Go back and watch the tape. I'll show you training camp videos of him exploding off the line of scrimmage at the snap. And I think, again, was a 38-year-old man, so it continued to surprise linebackers well into last year.
Well, I remember forever he beat the Giants that way, just by the Giants fans could never understand, how do we leave him open in the middle of the field all the time? It's the exact reason you just mentioned, right?
Exactly.
He just fires off the ball.
I think that look, again, we don't want to give people, as a fandom, we don't want to give former Cowboys that aren't here anymore that we're currently mad at any credit, like Jason Garrett or Jason.
Who's mad at Jason Witten?
It's mostly just Jason's, really. I think people don't like Jason. I think he gave guidance to those two young tight ends well beyond their years. I'm sure that if you talk to them, they would have nothing but glowing responses for him, even though they may have lost snaps, they may have lost opportunity to Witten early in their careers. They learned a ton from him. And let's give Jason Witten a little bit of credit, because I feel certain that ability to get off the line quick was something that they learned from watching, Witten do it here for all those years.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, it is Jason's season, right? That's probably why
that's right. It's always Jason's season for Halloween. That's right. I can't wait till Jason Witten's movie career gets going and he can be the new Jason Voorhees. I think that would be very, very appropriate.
Man. All right. Just wanted to give Dalton Schultz a shout out there. So, all right. That is it for today's show. We'll be back on Friday to do a game preview, Cowboys Patriots. Landon, you might be surprised who I'm picking in this game. Just going to let you know.
I'm always surprised, Marcus. So I have a feeling that you're right.
All right. You can follow the show on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Locked On Cowboys. Get us wherever you get your podcast. Follow Landon at McCool BCB. I'm at Marcus _Mosher. We'll see you next time.